Hey guys, Chris the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel. I'm in the shop today. We're open still. It's a Monday and Mondays are fairly quiet. In this video, we're just going to have a little bit of a look out in the back storage room. I've got a little bit of a project on the go. I'm going to build something without using anything new, recycle everything that I have got. And I thought I'd just give you a little bit of an update of what's going on in the shop here. Christine's just gone home for a nap. Which is one advantage of two of us being in the one shop now. I've already actually been out this morning to pick up some batteries and a few other things that a local guy was happy to give me. So I'm still collecting a bit of scrap, and we will do some more scrap runs later. But in this video, we'll just go through to the storeroom. You'll get a bit of an idea of how far I've got processing stuff, which isn't very far. You've seen me do some unboxings at home. Let's keep walking while I'm talking. You've seen me do some unboxings at home and you've seen me do some here, but in reality that's stuff that's actually still coming in every day. So I'm having trouble getting on top of all the stuff that I moved from next door. Staff only. Look, Christine's not here. Let's come through. So when I moved from next door, I had almost 20 years of stuff that I've hoarded. Well, no, let's not say hoarded. Stuff that I had put aside as an investment. And then I had to cash it in, and because we had to move very quickly, we set up some shelves here. We're basically running two businesses from this one shop now. There are still mountains of stock all stacked up. A lot of it was random, just quick box it, get it out of here. We only have 60 days to move 20 years worth of stuff. Most of it went home, but this little storeroom in the back of what was Christine's shop, that is now our shop, Christine and my shop, where we run two businesses. I've got a lot of stuff stashed out here. And what I'm going to do is just a little bit of a let's get organised in one corner video. So look, I've emptied a corner. This had a lot of stock in here that had actually been here before I moved, because I used to use this little room as storage, and now it's storage with attitude. What I'm going to do in this corner is build a little workbench, because I need an area rather than the counter out in the shop to sort of do a little bit of scrapping, a little bit of testing of electronic stuff. And there's a nice little corner here with a window. I can rig up a fluoro light as well. I've got some wall space to put some shelves up, and it'll just help me get a little bit more organized. So I thought I'd show you in this video how I'm going to make something here with absolutely no cost, using stuff that I've already got. There's a little bit of timber stacked in that corner over there, but as you can see, the rest of this little room is just chockers. I can't even get through here now. It's just piled up. I often tell you guys when I'm scrapping stuff that I'll put stuff in jars, which I've got some here. I'm going to try and set up some shelving on the wall. And of course, once these jars fill up, I sell them in the shop. There's also a lot of boxes of old stock from long ago, things that I was going to eBay. There's empty boxes for packaging. And there's some pretty cool items around. That Egyptian looking thing is actually a 1950s decanter, and it's unopened. It's got some sort of liqueur in it. I'll get to selling that one day. I have shelves full of car manuals and things that I've bought from garages that have closed up. There's just boxes and boxes of stuff here that I'd packed away. eBay workshop manuals. That's nearly 15 years ago, that code. So there's a lot of cool stuff in here, and we will get to it all with unboxings. But we'll just do a little bit of a project here in this room, just setting up a workbench somewhere where I can maybe get some of these clocks down and test them before I put them in the shop. Just saves me having a lot of clutter on the counter at the front, and it saves me having to take stuff home to my workshop all the time. So, wow, it's just, I need to get into this. So, all right, what I'm going to do is, I've got some materials at home. I've got some timber that I rescued out of a skip recently. I've got an old bed end that might make a good workbench. I'll round some stuff up and I'll start cutting it to size. Now I thought I might start with just a bit of a shelf across from the top of that cupboard across to that wall section. So if I just put a little bit of a bracket on that wall, I can put a shelf across the top, and that'll give us some good area up towards the roof here to pack some lighter stuff. And because we do a lot of eBay work, I obviously keep a lot of empty boxes and bubble wrap, and I need to get it out of here. And I'm going to kill two birds with the one stone here, which is, I think, always a great idea, except if you're a bird. those two doors, they're old timber doors from one of my early school cupboards. This is the exact cupboard. And you can see they make fantastic displays. This is in our kitchen section. There's another old cupboard there. I do love these old cupboards. They're early 1900s. They were government issue, probably to primary schools. And they're no good with the doors on to have them in the shop. So I take the doors off them all, but I can't possibly dispose of the doors because, you know, I might want the cupboard with the doors again one day. So I have to store them long term. So what better than to store them and actually have them as useful? So they will fit across the top of that cupboard. There's still one wheel on that. You'll notice cupboards don't normally have wheels on the top. It's actually been turned upside down. But from across the top of that cupboard to that wall section, I can fit both of these doors and they will be stored permanently. Clunk, there goes one bird, and they will be useful for stacking bubble wrap on. Clunk, there goes the other bird. So I reckon that's a good start. So I need to find a small bit of timber to go as a cleat to go on that wall. Let's go shopping. And what better place to go shopping, and where else would the ultimate recycler go shopping but in a skip? And look at that. That will be perfect. Yeah, I have to admit I knew it was here. That's where it was, and we're going to use that on the wall. Now, just in case you're wondering, this skip is actually at the back of my old shop. It's looking a bit overgrown and a bit sad around here since I no longer live here and can look after it all. Look at the weeds. Must have been all that beautiful compost I was making with the worms. But anyway, they're doing some renos. I'll get permission from the new owners perhaps one day soon, and we'll take you for a tour through the old shop to see what it's looking like now. I'm pleased to report that yes, they are renovating it and it will come up beautiful. It'll be saved from being demolished, which is awesome. And meanwhile, the builder said I can help myself out of the skip, and I even grabbed some of the old wiring, and I even grabbed some of the old red gum blocks, stumps from the shop that he'd taken out and replaced because they were rotten. So it's kind of ironic that I'm getting to recycle the shop that I was in for nearly 20 years. Well, bits of it anyway. Okay, let's get back to the building of this bench. Phase 1 is now complete. It's a little bit awkward to film in here because I can't even step back very far. But you can see I've just put those two old cupboard doors up across the top there, just resting on the top of that cupboard that actually has two wheels on it. I didn't realise until I looked at the footage I took earlier. So they're just sitting on top of each other. They don't need to be attached at all. I've just cut that piece of timber I got out of the skip. Only had to cut an inch off the end of it and screwed it through into the studs in the wall. So that will be pretty strong, but I'm only planning to put boxes of bubble wrap and packing materials up there. So it's only going to be light stuff anyway. Gets it out of the road, makes use of that space if the spiders move over and allow me to take some of their room. So the next stage will be to build a bit of a bench. We'll do the same thing with some timber. I'll just put a piece along the back, maybe a piece across the back of that cupboard. Well, we will need that. I might need to actually put a sort of a leg up against that cupboard because I don't know that it's actually really strong enough to support much weight. So we'll give a bit of support that end. And the good thing with the old lining boards is it's nice timber to screw into. This stuff is actually old cement sheet. It could even be asbestos. It's pretty old. Doesn't matter. We're not going to be taking it off at all. But I know there's a stud down there, so I can at least attach a piece of timber to the studs. So by getting those cupboard doors up there, we have now revealed more clocks. Yes, I bought a big collection once and a lot of them need repairing. Some of them are only for parts, but there's some pretty good clocks in amongst that. So I'll get to those at some stage. Yeah, I could use the shelving for other stuff. Okay, I'm home today, guys, and this is the old bed end that I'm going to use as a workbench. It's quite solid. It's actually like a Laminex or a Formica type sort of covering, probably over just chipboard or something. It's got a bit of a frame around it, but it's double thickness around the edges, and I think it will make quite a nice workbench. I've marked out, you can see the where I have to cut it. Obviously I don't want the legs on it. The timber's been weathered a little bit and the Laminex has lifted a bit, but I think I'll be able to glue that back down. I think it'll make an excellent workbench for the area I'm thinking. So now I just need to cut it to size. And there's our bench top cut to size. That circular saw did an amazing job, and I've done a review on that. If you want to check out one of my other videos, I'll put a link under now. The chipboard has been a bit moisture affected, but it's still strong enough for a workbench. It's actually fine along the back. It's only really one end that's been a bit moisture affected, and it's still sturdy enough. So what I'm going to do is I'll just tidy up the ends from the offcuts. I can rescue some of these pieces, which I'll just glue and clamp and probably screw into the chipboard there just to give it a bit of security, and it'll give it an even width along the end to rest on the wall cleats that I put in, and I'll put another bit across the back just so it can mount easily to the frame I'm going to build. I'm back at the shop tonight. We've just closed, and I tend to get a bit of work done before I go home for dinner. So I've got some pieces of timber here that I actually dragged out of a skip. They were doing some renovations to the shop on the corner a while back, and I think I might have pointed out in one of my videos when I was doing scrap runs to Melbourne that I'd salvaged all this pine timber, and I might have even asked the question, why wouldn't we want to grab it and save it because it's going to be handy one day? Well, of course, you know, today's come and it's going to be handy. So I'm just going to cut a couple of lengths here to provide some cleats along the wall to mount this workbench. So I've measured off where I'm going to cut. I'll cut them now and see if we can get them fitted up before I have to go home. Okay, I'm in this cramped little corner. It probably echoes a bit in here, and it's really difficult to not only work and move the timber in and out and everything, but even to have room for the tripod. So I've marked roughly how high I want the bench, keeping in mind the bench is nearly 2 inches thick. So I've just got this support board onto the wall here. I'm going to put one screw just in the middle, just to secure it, and then I can kind of level it up. Now I'm not going to use a spirit level, I'm just going to do it by eye so that it looks right. There's no sense having it perfectly level if it doesn't look right. So I've pre-drilled this timber, and hopefully we're going to find a stud here to hold it here, hold it against the wall. That's promising, that's very good. Excellent. So I don't know if I can find any other studs. Hopefully we can have another one this end. I might put a support under that end because I don't think we quite reached the next stud. I won't put the second screw in just yet until we get it the right level. Okay, I've measured up from the floor on both ends. I think it's pretty good. I've stood back as far as I can, not that I can get very far back here, and it looks level enough. So that's good enough for me. Let's put the next screw in. And we'll see if we can find another screw or another stud. You can sometimes find them by knocking. But if you hear someone call out, "Come in," you might be in the wrong place. Yeah, the stud at that end is just beyond the board, so we've got no support that end. I think we've got one here where the join of the board is. We might try and put a screw through and see what happens. And I don't think we'll quite get the corner one, but we can put a corner bracket on the other piece of wood. Let's drill a hole here and see if we can find a stud here. Okay, I think we might be right. Let's see how we go. Excellent. So that'll give us 2 good anchor points, so a bit of a support at the other end will be fine. So I've put the other cleat now against this wall. I found a stud just about a foot in from the corner, so I've got one screw in there. The corner is pretty well level, and I haven't put any other screws in here yet, and it just finishes at the end of that cupboard. So I need some more anchor points here. I should be able to find a stud, but even if I can't, those lining boards will be strong enough. So what I'm going to do now, I've only got the one screw in. I'm going to try and get the bench in here and actually sit it on this now and just kind of line it all up. I'm happy with that board along the back, but because this has only got one screw, this board's only got one screw, even though it's pretty tight, I can actually pivot it a little bit so that it actually supports the full width of the bench. So allowing for the fact that old buildings are never square, I'm going to sit the bench on there. I'll pivot that underneath to make sure it sort of has the best contact. Then I'll find another spot to put some screws through, and that will give the two main supports for the bench. This end, I don't think I'll put a leg in there. I think I'll actually screw a board across the back of the cupboard, because I can screw right into this corner, and that'll give good support for that end of the bench. And pretty much that's all I'm going to do here, and then I can actually use the bench. I am going to put a piece of wood at the bottom. The concrete floor has a mysterious slope here. It's angled, and you can't really tell because I can't get far enough back to see. But that cupboard is sitting on 2 or 3 old floorboards, so it's about 2 inches drop on this side compared to a little half-inch piece of board that side. So seeing so these boards go right across, we only drop them down sort of temporarily, but I'm going to use those boards and actually put a false floor across there just to keep it neat, and I can then stack stuff under there if I need to. So that's about as far as we're going to go today. I've got to go home, but I'm happy to get that up. I might see if I can sit the bench in here now, and we'll just get a bit of a visual of how it's going to look. Okay, I'll give you a bit of a visual while I'm going to show you that it's working in rather cramped conditions here. One wouldn't want to be claustrophobic. I think maybe the workplace health and safety people should know about this job site. We'll get there. Now, did I cut this workbench to the correct size? Oops, we chipped a bit out of there. I reckon that's looking pretty good. Look at that, it fits like a glove. I reckon that's pretty good. As for this little piece of Laminex we just chipped out, well, piece of glue, mum's the word, didn't happen. Alright, I think I've actually got the right angle on this anyway. Let's see if we can get some footage under here, if it's not too dark. Yeah, that sits nice and flat there. I'm not even going to screw that bench in. I have a little shelf unit to go at the back to give me some shelves. So that'll do for today. Pretty happy with that. And we'll just have a peek around the corner from this angle, and you can see the bench looks pretty level there. I have to just neaten off the floor area. I've got room to put some shelves up, and I've got those old doors up the top to provide some high storage for low weight stuff. Okay guys, let's finish this video up here. It was really only a video for the sake of, I like to bring you guys along with everything I do, but we have made a good workbench. I've made a nice little secluded area where I can tinker away at the shop. I can do a bit of scrapping, I can repair things. I'll bring you updates as this room develops and as we get more treasures out of here. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.